So in our first part, we basically discussed that how things turned out in France and what did Napoleon do, and initially he was appreciated and liked and welcomed, but eventually people started disliking him for several reasons, and he lost in one of the wars, and that is how things changed. Now, in the second portion, that is the making of nationalism in Europe, if you come to the point 2, here we will get an idea of how things started in Europe, and how the basic idea of basic nationalist feeling or the sentiments, nationalist sentiments came into the people of Europe. Okay, so what happened, if you see the 18th century European map, you will find out that there is hardly any nation state. Now when I say nation state, what do you mean is like countries nowadays where people have a specific identity, they share the same language, share the same bond, same flag and a territory. That is a nation state. But back then, the idea of nation state was not clear. That time it was all like kingdom. So kingdoms hote the उस time पे, which were ruled by kings as rulers. Okay, so like Austro-Hungary area were Habsburg kingdom. Then like these different kingdoms were there. Okay, Russian kingdom and Russian empire and all. So what used to happen is that people were part of these kingdoms, and the kings used to kind of generally fight with each other and try to capture each other's land. But unfortunately, the people lacked the sense of collective unity or collective identity that they have. By collective identity, you can mean, like for example, we are Indians, so we have that feeling that okay, we are Indians, we have a national flag, we have a national anthem, we know the territory, we all are together and we are united. That feeling they never had, because their territories used to change very frequently. Okay, like आज ये जगह इस राजा के अंडर था, कल किसी और राजा ने अटैक कर दिया, उसके अंडर हो गया. So the people, they were like confused that what is our identity, and they used to speak several languages. Okay, Slovakian language is there, Polish language was there. Okay, some Germanic, huge area was under Germanic control, Germanic rulers and all, but there was no German as in Germany, what we know the country Germany, that was not there. So these things were there, but one common thing was at that time, because it was aristocratic rule, that was the king's rule, everyone had a feeling of reverence towards the king. It means he's our, she's our queen, or he's our king, and we are their subjects. That feeling was there. Okay. Now, slowly the idea of nation states came. People started fighting for their own identity and own countries, which were that time called nation states. So about that we are studying, that how it came. Now, see the aristocracy and the new middle class. So what happened now in the mid 18th century, the aristocracy, though they were small in number, okay, they were very small in number, but enjoyed dominance and were united. Means what? Aristocracy as in Raja, Maharaja, the higher level of the society, okay, they were less in number in a place, but they were all united and they were connected to each other by the ties of marriage and all. They used to own estates and properties and all that, okay, and they had that dominance. On the other hand, the peasantry means the farmers and all these people, that time farming was the occupation, they were majority. Okay, they were the majority. And in the Eastern and Western Europe, a bit things were different. In Western Europe, the system of cultivation and all was a bit different than Eastern Europe and Central. So that is, anyways, they were more in number, but obviously they had no domination. They were like the poor class, or they were the last class in a society, as in their power was less or almost not there. Now, Western and parts of Central Europe saw industrial growth and means in trade. So we all know that industrial revolution happened somewhere in the mid 18th century. That happened in England earlier, and it took time to come to France and all these countries, okay, Germany and all these countries. So in Western and parts of Central Europe around that time, slowly as 18th and then early 19th century time, it happened. Then what happened is, as industrialization came, a new social group, okay, a new social class. In this industrialization process, a new social class came. What was that social class known as? It was known as the new middle class, okay, the new middle class. Now, who were these new middle class people? These were the people who used to work in the industries. These people were educated and were liberal minded. Liberal minded means what? Liberal minded. उनकी सोच बहुत liberal थी, means higher level thinking or a bit of खुले सोच वाले लोग. They were okay, liberal minded, and they were educated. So they had that feeling that we cannot anymore stay under the aristocracy, and we need to have our own nation state and our own identity and all these feelings. Now, they were the one to introduce the ideas of national unity. This new middle class, okay, this new middle class were the people who told everyone that we need to have we need to do protest against them, we need to have some revolutionary ideas which will make us unite together and have a nation state. And that is how they also supported abolition of aristocratic privileges. Abolition of aristocratic privileges means when you are born as a king, you have some inborn benefits. Yes or no? Like obviously you are rich, you have everything, whatever you want that will happen. So those are privileges. Privileges like benefits, and abolition means to stop. Aristocratic, as I said, kings and their royal families. Sorry. So the new middle class, they wanted that no more special treatment for the Raja Maharaja, and like no special treatment for the normal people, as in they wanted to make it similar, okay, that everyone will be equal. They wanted that thing, equality. So that is how the aristocratic people and the new middle class were like, they were like kind of clashing against each other, okay. So that is how it happened, and the idea, people were inspired, okay, in most of the countries of Europe at that time. Then comes our 2.2, that is what did liberal nationalism stood for. So these were the people actually who brought the idea of liberal nationalism. Now what is liberal nationalism? First, the word liberal has come from the Latin word which is liber, and it means free, okay. So Latin word which means free. Now liberal nationalism means nationalism which is supported by the idea of freedom and all, okay. Now what did it mean? It had different meanings in different spheres, as in the political sphere, the economic sphere, all these things. Now see, for the new middle class, liberalism stood for individual freedom, equality before the law, all these things. Individual freedom means people should have freedom to do things that they want to do, and they don't need to always listen to the king, kind of, okay. Equality before the law means everyone should be treated equal, not like Raja ke liye ye niyam, Praja ke liye ye niyam. That thing has to stop. So they were asking for equality before law. This was for individual, for a person concept. Then they also advocated the political liberalism. Now what is political liberalism? In the political sphere, liberalism stood for like the universal suffrage. You all have studied, I'm sure, about suffrage. that is the voting rights given to the people. Now what happened, here I'll just give you a small information, that is in France also. Earlier when Jacobin clubs were all met, we studied about that in the last video. That time a bit of universal suffrage was given, but still not to women, okay, only to men. And when it came at this time also, it was like selected people were given voting rights, so you can't call it universal adult suffrage. So the political liberalism, it stood for government by consent. Government by consent means जिसको हम चुनेंगे वही हमारा रूलर और नेता और मंत्री बनेगा. That is government by consent, means we vote and the person forms the government and they rule us. That is consent, means I agree. That means my consent. And inviolability of private property. What does that mean? See, earlier no, if you are living under a king, you can't have a property. The whole land belongs to the king. So they were advocating the thought that people should be allowed to have private property. Okay, it should not be like king's property anymore. If you means some property, if I bought it, it should be in my name. I can do whatever in that property, as in it should be up to me. I should be the owner, not the king. So that they were asking for. Inviolability means no one can violate, okay, private property. And but one thing that I told you, even in revolutionary France, what happened? Voting rights were given to only property owning men, not to women and non-propertied men. Means women and non-propertied. If you are a woman, there is no chance. If you are a man and you don't own any property, even in that case you are not allowed. You have to be a man who owns property, then only you can vote. Such a horrible rule, no? I just hate it. Anyhow, so throughout the 19th and early 20th century, what happened? These people, means women and non-propertied men, they kept opposing, okay, they kept fighting that we also want the voting rights and all these things. They started fighting along with the nationalism thing. Now, in the economic sphere, how did they see it in the, means how did they see this thing in the liberal nationalism in economic sphere? In the economy, liberalism stood for what? Freedom of markets. Earlier markets were stuffed, as in they were like chained by rules. ये कर सकते हैं, ये नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा कर सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हैं, वो कर सकता है, वो नहीं कर सकता. These all things, okay. So freedom should be there, and abolition of state imposed restrictions. Abolitions means stopping, and state imposed restrictions means restrictions which are imposed, means put by the state. State means the government, the ruler, as in, okay. So they used to make a lot of different rules. So that's what they are saying, that no, means there should not be a list of rules because of which we are not able to do trade, commerce, business, whatever. On what? On the movements of goods and capital. Means like if I am a trader, if I am doing business and I want to sell something to another place, there will be like 100 rules, okay, before I can reach there to sell. So half of the money goes there, then what is my profit? So people were not happy with it and they wanted these rules to be changed, okay. So what happened? One small example I would like to give you. Here in the German confederation of almost 39 states were there. In that area, to cross every state, you had to pay a trader or a person who is going to sell anything. They had to pay like tax type of thing, custom duties, each time like 5%. Just take the example of India. So you are living in, say, Gujarat and you want to come to Assam to sell something. So from Gujarat, when you start traveling, like from Gujarat you reach Madhya Pradesh. In the border, you paid 5% tax. Then from Madhya Pradesh, say for example, you reach Chhattisgarh. The border, you paid again 5% tax. From Chhattisgarh, again you reach the next state, say Jharkhand. There you paid 5% tax. So each state you pass in between, how many would be that, you keep paying tax till you reach Assam and you sell your product, you will not be left with any profit. Yes or no? So who would like to do business like that? Will you be interested in doing business like that? Obviously not. No one will be interested. So they were very unhappy with these rules and they wanted these rules to change. Okay. So even measures and weights were different. One good example is given in your book. Please refer to that. That 1 meter of cloth was different. Like the measurement was different in different places. Okay. So these things were there. Many restrictions and obstacles, hurdles. That is mushkile thi. Okay. So what did they do? They found out a solution. What solution did they find out? They made one custom union that is like a organization type. Okay. A solution to this trade related problems, a customs unions means like a organization which they formed for their economic देखभाल के लिए. Okay, they made so that they will look after them, they will take care of the unnecessary rules and all these things. The name was Zollverein. Okay. Now Zollverein was formed in the year 1834 by Prussia. It was initiated by Prussia. Now what is Prussia? Prussia was one of the states at that time of the German confederations which was very strong. Okay, that was Prussia. And other German states, whatever states were there German, they together they thought that okay, we will start a organization which will help us. It was named Zollverein in the year 1834. Now, what did Zollverein do? So Zollverein did what? Zollverein abolished tariff barriers. Whatever barriers were there in tariff, as in paisa vaisa, kya aana jana, rules, regulations, they did means they changed unnecessary rules and reduced the number of currencies from 30 to 2. What does that mean? For example, there were 39 states at that time in that German empire or confederation. Every state had, or almost like most of the states had their own currency. So it was so tough. Means from one state, if you're going to another state for trade, you have to change the currency. Then the value of the currency will go up and down. So it was very tough. Okay. So they did what? They reduced the currencies from 30 to only 2. Okay, that was very good, and it helped in trade and business and all these things. And further, the emergence of the network of railways. Railways came up around that time. Means it came earlier, but they expanded it, and it helped in the economy, in aggravating the economy, in pushing the economy to new heights. Okay, because movement of goods and all became easier. So that is what happened, and this Zollverein thing and the railway thing, everything together helped strengthen the process of nationalism. This all helped, means indirectly in the economic. See what happens when the economy of a region goes up, everything falls in place. Okay, people start having income and they also do good, and the process of nationalism also went up in that European part, that is mainly, which is present day mainly Germany, Poland, France and Netherlands, all these areas around. Okay, so that is what happened. I hope you understood, and if you have any queries, I'll just say put a message there. I will answer to your queries and give your suggestions if you want any changes or something is wrong with it, and do subscribe to my channel. Bye.